Hey, I'm Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys. We're going to check in on the markets here as the bulls showed up, a bit of a surprise, trapping short-term bears from yesterday. Crypto stocks and the solar sector getting their laggard bounces going, and this increases the probabilities for daily uptrends to try and confirm into next week. Lots to check in on. Let's get to it.
All right, so a significant day for the Bulls, and it is significant for me for a number of reasons, but mostly because everything was pointing bear after yesterday. Yesterday was pretty much the ideal bear day as we went over. And you'll remember, if you watched the video yesterday, I was going through the analysis, going through all the list, and check mark for bears, all the way down the line. And then right at the end, I looked at the NASDAQ 4-hour time frame, and that's me putting on my bull glasses and saying, okay, well, here is a scenario that could play out for the bulls. And I said, well, if we hold 4-hour EMA 12 here after it acted as resistance the whole way down and we bounce overnight, that can put pressure on bears. A lot of bears from yesterday, can be trapped because, again, yesterday bearish was the right direction to be looking. Some names gapping up for a second day in a row, daily lower high is the most likely scenario, and a weak day. Yesterday, bearish was the right direction, and a lot of bears jumped in for daily lower highs. And so, putting on the bull glasses at the end of the day, I couldn't say this is the most likely scenario. But when I woke up this morning and I looked at this chart, I said, we've got a really nice hourly equilibrium on our futures chart here. And if this breaks bullish, and here's where the psychology comes into play, if this breaks bullish, it's going to put pressure on bears. Because again, yesterday, bearish was the correct direction to be looking, and a lot of bears are looking for daily lower highs to be set from yesterday, as they should. Many times, absolutely the bears follow through today from yesterday. But then I was live streaming and we had this battle first thing on the morning. The 1 minute time frame dictated things because on the 1 minute, we were close to setting an hourly lower high and shaping up the equilibrium there. And look at this little battle where we had a real tight range first thing. We dropped down and held support. And as soon as we hit the new high of the day, that's bulls getting a win on the morning, and they did not look back. And the 2-minute EMA 12, look at how good this guide is. My mindset was, don't be looking bearish if 2-minute EMA 12 is support. Held it, held it, held it, held it, held it all the way until almost noon. And then we lost it for the first time. And so that would prevent you from playing against that significant momentum because, again, it's a mini short squeeze. We can anticipate, well, after yesterday's action, and again, the context of yesterday is so important, but after yesterday, if the bulls show up and break the high of yesterday, a lot of short-term bears are going to be underwater. And so a lot of today's strength was shorts covering. And so what today does significantly shifts some probabilities where, after yesterday, we could say, yeah, couple day bounce, things were pretty beat up in the short term, but bears are still fine. And now it is, you look at the NASDAQ, which is still leading the way. Well, now after today, the probabilities for a daily high or low to be the result of the next consolidation increase significantly. And now we're going to be looking at this to be an inverse head and shoulders next time we see daily consolidation. And in the end, what we know is the most important aspect, do we confirm the weekly downtrend or not? If no, it's a monthly cup and handle on the NASDAQ. If yes, it's probably going to be a 4-month tightening range and a boring start to 2024 while we trade within that tightening range. So September is setting the stage to have significant implications for, the next quarter, the next 4 months after September, based on this weekly chart. But before we get to the weekly and start focusing on that, it's the daily. Do we confirm the daily uptrend as the result? We closed over daily EMA 12 for the first time since the bears got serious on this pullback. And what is still the case is this is a completely NASDAQ-led bounce. And I'm not talking about NVDA earnings because they haven't happened yet. I'm a bit crunched for time, so making this video, and we'll check in on those earnings as they happen for the initial reaction. But you'll probably see it here live in a minute. So the NASDAQ has space for a daily trend change attempt, and we could say two things. Number one, the S&P 500 bounce is a good bit weaker than the NASDAQ. Number two, the S&P 500 bulls are positioned well if any of our other major sectors join this bounce. And today was healthcare trying to join the bounce but struggling and not doing so in any meaningful way. And the financial sector bounced, but it's still a weak, we haven't even started a daily bounce. So you look at this and say, well, if XLF breaks the daily inside bar bull and gets over 3410, it's then going to help the S&P 500 on this bounce as a bit of a laggard. So we're going to continue watching the other major sectors, but the story's been the same all week. This is a NASDAQ, and it's pretty much, NASDAQ growth leading this bounce. And no one else is really participating at this point. Keep in mind, big picture, zoom out. Remember back before the summer when I was talking about how the S&P 500 is positioned extremely well if regional banks and the financial sector, if regional banks bottom is in the financial sector, you can see we got a bull reaction. 500 on NVDA. We'll see if we keep it, but that's bull, all-time highs. 505. I guess we'll look at it. We'll see. We'll see what the conference call does, but path of least resistance is up. We needed 2% to see all-time highs. We need a 15% drop to head to key 400 support. We'll see here. Anyways, going back bigger picture, we had the NASDAQ leading the bounce in the spring, and we said if the regional banks are done with fear, and if the financial sector and growth and IWM act as laggards on this bounce, the S&P 500 is positioned really well to keep this bounce going. And so now I'm just wondering, is this now just a zoomed in version of that on the daily time frame as opposed to the weekly and monthly time frame like we were looking for back in the spring and into the start of the summer? So initially it's a bullish reaction, and we'll check back in on this at the end of the video as well. So that's the bigger picture here, and the hourly uptrend remains our guide. Keep in mind, we didn't lose the hourly uptrend yesterday. That was the one thing that the bears had to do. Bulls defended. Today, bears must confirm the hourly downtrend, and they didn't. So we just got an hourly uptrend still intact. I want to see here if Bitcoin is reacting. I see Bitcoin stocks are up a bit. A little bit. Not much. That's a 1 minute chart. So semiconductors are going to be trying to gap up tomorrow. There's the reaction. And again, semiconductors now have a ton of space for a daily higher low to form. And NVDA, I'm seeing a ton of social media sentiment putting a lot of importance on this earnings report. And, for me, it doesn't really matter. I know NVDA is a large component of the NASDAQ. That's what matters for me. But I think this is a retail sentiment gauge where if NVDA keeps ripping an all-time highs over 500 here, then that's going to be a sentiment gauge and a point in favor of a NASDAQ cup and handle on the monthly as a possibility. Again, people are scoffing at that when I say that, but you better prepare for both directions and have a game plan for both. So SMH will still have to confirm a daily uptrend once we top out, but here we are up at 157, and just like that, all-time highs are back in play. And SMH is a potential monthly bull flag, absolutely. Again, got to see what the conference call does with NVDA, but we are up at the high of the reaction right now. Right now, QQQ is up almost, it is up 0.5% plus from the high of today. So that just gives the bulls more space to work with on the daily. Testing resistance now on the NASDAQ. We got a lot of space for a daily higher low. 509 now, so the bullish reaction's a bit more solidified. Tesla, bearish pre-market on Germany, whatever news, something, don't care. But bulls bought that dip right away very significantly. You can see Tesla's reacting bullish. Everybody's reacting bullish. AI, look at AI. Big old move. That's a 6% move after hours on AI. I'm telling you, this sentiment here, we might be putting in a bit of a bottom on that fear from last week. 515. All right, so Tesla recovered from that weakness, and here we are at bounce highs. and still in that swing position. Wanted to look for a daily high or low, but I needed the NASDAQ to be seeing daily consolidation for me to be comfortable with the risk and reward of making an entry. And so I haven't seen that yet. So I will still be interested in a Tesla daily high or low, but I want to see the NASDAQ with daily consolidation as that is happening. Healthcare. So as I mentioned, we started stronger today. We did break the triple top from the last 3 days, but no follow through. Still holding weekly support, but not convincing. If you go to the 2-day time frame, you can view it as an equilibrium. High, low, lower high, higher low. Anything under 136.53 is just a lower high. Bulls need to see, if we're going to get back to 50% retracement and get right in the middle of this equilibrium, bulls need to head up to 135. NVDA pulling back a bit now. Back to 500. So I think we could say it's a bull reaction. Something on the conference call could completely reverse this, but I think it's safe to call it a bull reaction. Financial sector, as I mentioned, daily inside bar. If we get over 34.10 tomorrow, that will be the bulls joining in on the bounce as a laggard. We still have to confirm the hourly uptrend. So need that hourly higher low and higher high. But again, it's possible to bounce as a laggard and try and help the S&P 500 get some follow through. IWM, still a possible bear flag, but not as ugly as yesterday. And again, the importance of the financial sector in IWM is significant. So if XLF breaks 34.10, that's definitely going to help IWM head up to test daily EMA 12 resistance. ARKK, probably up big after hours. Not huge, but it's keeping its bounce going as well. Again, just every little higher high creates more space, increases probabilities for the bulls to try and confirm an eventual daily trend change. MARA, crypto stocks. So the laggards, I think 2 days ago I talked about, let's see if the laggards like TAN and crypto names get their bounce going. The answer yesterday was nope, not yet, but now they are. Daily stair-step pattern bull break, Bitcoin daily oversold bounce underway. Bulls will try and confirm the hourly uptrend tomorrow on these names, and after hours is helping, as I mentioned. Riot bull flag attempt, MARA confirming it already. We're at the high of today right now. Still a lot of work to do on the daily, but the bounce is clearly underway. Daily stair-step triggered at 1134. Nice couple percent, few percent follow through. Coin has been bouncing for a couple days at this point. It's trying to set the weekly high or low. Watching for a weekly equilibrium on coin into September, through September. Mentioned AI. PLTR had weakness, CEO selling shares, gap down open, and bullish engulfing candle. And again, after hours, bullish reaction. Testing resistance of 1587. Weekly uptrend still intact. Got to be watching for a weekly head and shoulders now into next week. But bounce follow through. Negating a lot of daily bear flags today. A lot of possible daily bear flags. IONQ, supercomputing name. V-shaped bounce from the gap down. So big drop, no gap. The gap happens, marks the bottom, and we are up 30% from there. Tons of space for the daily high or low. Weekly EMA 12 support. This is staying a strong longer-term trend at this point. The big question is going to be, is this NVDA surge going to reignite AI euphoria that we saw earlier in the summer? 500 psychological is going to be key on NVDA on this reaction. But we're up 10%, just under 10%. And again, this is a good sign for the bulls. And you'll see it on Twitter. Everybody, the bulls are going to be back out again after the Bears got their 3-week win. The dollar, still this 12-hour rising wedge. Daily bull flag confirmed, big pullback. Dollar bears must confirm hourly and 4-hour downtrends, and they must break 103. If we break 103, weekly consolidation is likely underway. And if that happens, the metals are positioned really well. I think I talked about it yesterday, but the shift in correlation, significant, where the dollar was still strong and gold and silver started their daily bounces. And now gold is playing catch up because gold started its bounce into dollar strength. And then the first dollar weakness that we've seen in a few days, magnifying the bounce. And silver just putting on a show. 50% plus retracement. Metal bulls love when silver is leading. It shows confidence in the metals. And the big correlation shift here is due to the weekly support holding. You will see correlations shift and change when the individual name holds a key support or resistance level. And so a bunch of bulls are going to be looking for a silver daily high or low. And look at the silver. Gold divided by silver chart is a monthly equilibrium. And if this breaks bear, it's a big win for the metals bulls. Because again, the biggest bull markets in metals are when silver is leading the way. And when this chart is dropping, silver is leading the way. So go back and look at the periods of when this chart is bearish and what gold and silver were doing at that time. And we now have this monthly equilibrium that is trying to break bearish, which would be bullish for the metals if that were to happen. Oil daily downtrend confirmed, zooming out, weekly EMA 12 being tested. No red flags at this point. We're going to watch our retracement size. If it gets over 50%, that's a red flag. But for now, if weekly EMA 12 holds, it's still a possible weekly bull flag. Natural gas, the red flags have been firing for weeks. The big red flag was number one. That candle was the start of it, but really it was this bear flag confirming. As soon as that happens, you say, uh-oh, we got to watch out for this megaphone. And here we are heading back to megaphone support. All right. See if the bulls can hold these gains into tomorrow as far as NVDA. But that's bullish for AI. And just like that, again, let's into September. If the NASDAQ confirms a daily uptrend, we absolutely can go either way. We absolutely can be a monthly cup and handle or a weekly downtrend. But a big win for the bulls today. It was, and this is just the NVIDIA earnings reaction is just the icing on the cake. And so I've got my hope was if this is a Tesla monthly high or low, I want a position. And so now we're going to see if this plays out over the next couple of weeks. Can this move keep going to put in some longer term higher lows, some quick monthly higher lows? It's possible. We'll see. Do good things. See you tomorrow.